Let's get started, Sawyer.
All right, perfect. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the HRSA Data Collection Platform webinar for the RCORP Psychostimulant Support Grantees. My name is Sawyer Lubel, and I'll be your facilitator today. And I also have some folks from our project team to help with any questions that you might have throughout this webinar. Today, I'll walk you through the new system, the HRSA Data Collection Platform. For some, completing the performance reports may be brand new. And for others who have had grants previously, this new system is replacing the old EHB's PIMS, where you previously completed your performance reports. So we'll walk through some screenshots of the system, and then I'll provide live demos throughout the afternoon as well. Please note that as I go through, we have some test information that may look a little different than what you would see, but when you log into your account, you will only see the program and grant that you're going to be associated with. So just keep that in mind as we go through. A few administrative items before we get started. Please bear in mind that this is a test system, so if it's moving a little slowly, please bear with me. I promise we'll get to where we need to go. Throughout the presentation, if you aren't asking a question at the end, please make sure that you are muted. And throughout the presentation, please go ahead and put your questions in the chat box, and we'll do our best to get through all the questions there. But any questions that we don't get to during the webinar or that you may have at the end, we'll answer at the end during our Q&A section. So our agenda for today, first we'll go over a quick overview of the change and who is affected. Then we'll look at how to access the new HRSA data collection platform and navigate the homepage. Next, and probably the most important for you, how to complete and submit your performance reports. Then we'll view how to view the approval history and your approved reports. Next, how to respond to change requests from HRSA. And finally, I'll take you to see how to access your grantee raw data reports. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with our overview of the transition. So before we go into the system details, let's just go over these items. As of September 1st of this year, any performance reports created for the Psychostimulant Support Program grantees will be created and submitted in the new HRSA data collection platform. This new system has an updated look and feel and is easier to navigate to give you a better experience while completing and submitting your performance reports than our previous performance report series system. And as a reminder, this only applies to performance reports created on or after the reporting period, which is September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2024. So let's look at how to access the system and navigate through the homepage. Starting on September 1st, use the new link to the new HRSA data collection platform. When your performance report is set up, you'll receive an email with the link to the system. While this is not part of the HRSA EHBs, the systems are connected, so you will still use your EHB's login.gov email and password to complete the two-factor authentication to get into the system. If you do not have a login.gov account for the EHBs yet, please go ahead and create that. And there are some HRSA wiki help pages to walk you through that processes linked through the slides. So here's the homepage, and on that, you'll find your username at the top right side of the page. If you select your username, you'll see options to log out and also to run a report. Select the RSID performance reports to access your reports from the top toolbar or from the widget on the bottom of the screen. You can select data extracts to access your grantee raw data report from the top toolbar or from the widget on the bottom of the screen. You can select help to view the help pages from the top toolbar, and you guessed it, from the bottom widget at the bottom of the screen. And then the middle section of the page contains background on the purpose for the performance report. So now that you know how to access and navigate through the homepage, let's take a look at how to complete and submit your performance reports. So after selecting RSID performance report from the top navigation bar or the widget at the bottom of the homepage, you'll see the performance report assigned to you. This list displays the tracking ID, submission status, submission name, grant number, reporting period, program name, and your status. Clicking on the tracking ID is going to open your performance report, and the view of the status is on the right side of the row. And please note, if this is your first time in the system, you must go to In Progress Report to see your Not Started report. So on the Performance Reports page, you can select different list views to find reports on the different statuses. The page will default to Recently Viewed, but select the arrow next to the Recently Viewed to see different lists in a drop-down view. And you can also see different view as the default using the PIN. So you see submitted reports right now. If that's what you'd like to see every time when you first log into the system, select that PIN and that'll be what comes up for you. So the different type of reports, the approved reports list view displays reports that the HRSA project officer has approved and are in the approved status. The change requested reports list view displays reports the HRSA PO has returned from updates. They are in the change requesting status and must be updated and resubmitted. The in progress reports list view displays reports that have not been started or are in progress and have not yet been submitted. These are in the not started or in progress status. Recently viewed displays reports that you have accessed recently. And finally, submitted list view displays reports that have been submitted to HRSA for review and have not yet been approved or change requested yet. So after selecting the tracking ID and opening the performance report, you can view all of this information on the homepage of your report. You can view the tracking ID, details about the grant and performance report, including the submitted date and the review status. In the grantee data entry section, you can see the status for each form, which are not started, in progress, or complete. And just as a quick note, that the statuses of the forms are different than the status of the performance report as a whole. Select the View option beside each form to open a read-only view of the form, or select Start if the form is not started status, or Edit if the form is in the in progress status to work on said report. On the bottom right of the screen, select Generate PDF to view a PDF version of the report in its entirety. At the top of the report, when the report is ready, you will see an action for Submit for Review, which is only available once all the forms are complete. And this is something that I will show you in a little bit. And then once submitted, you can track the approval history at the bottom of the page. And also very important and possibly obvious, but you can only submit the performance report for approval once all forms are completed and show that green check mark. So let's go ahead and get started. After clicking the Start or Edit button to work on a form, the first page that will show is the public burden statement. Review the statement and click Next to the data entry fields. Throughout the form, you can track your progress from the right side of the page with the steps. Each one will turn green as you complete each step. As you work through a form, be sure to complete all required fields, which are going to be indicated by an asterisk. You can compare data from the previous reporting period if applicable, but please note if this is your first time filling out the data, the previous reporting box will be grayed out as you see in this example. If an incorrect data type is entered, a required field is left blank, or dependent fields don't match, you will receive an error message to correct that data. Some fields may become required based on what you enter in dependent fields. And if you enter data in the value field, the corresponding specify field becomes required. At the bottom of the form, you can add any comments needed for the HRSA PO or attach files. These are both optional fields, but take note that the comments and attachments show on each step of the form. After completing the data on the step, click the Next button at the bottom of the page to save your data and go to the next step of the form. And please take note, this is really important, that the Next button is how you save your data for that page. if you click previous or back to main screen before clicking next, your data will not save. So this is a truly important step. Once all of your required data is entered on each form, the form status updates to complete. Make sure you complete all your forms, and then you are ready to submit the report to HRSA for review. This is where you will select the Submit for Review button on the top right of the page to submit your report. Once you select Submit for Review, there will be a pop-up that comes up which will give you the option to enter additional comments if needed, but this is not required. And then when you're ready, click Submit. Then your report status will update to Submitted and moves to the Submitted Reports list view on the main page. So now that you've filled out and submitted your report, let's take a look at how to check on the approval status of your reports. After submitting your report, you can track the progress through that approval history section that we looked at earlier. As the HRSA PO makes decisions, you can see if it was approved or if changes are requested. You can also see all comments that were added when the report was submitted, approved, or change requested. On the right side of the screen, there's an arrow that you can select to view the full comments. Once approved by HRSA, the performance report status updates to approved and is listed on the approved reports list page. Now, what happens if HRSA requests updates to the report while reviewing? If HRSA sends back the report for updates, you will receive an email notification with the comments the PO added about the requested change. The performance report status moves to change requested, and you can find the report on the change requested reports list view. You will select the tracking ID on the left side of your report to open the report and make the changes. Once you open that performance report, in the approval history section that we looked at previously, you can see the comments that the HRSA PO added about the requested changes. On the right side of the page, you can once again select that arrow to view the full comments. Then open your performance report, make changes, and be sure to resubmit. The enter button will be available for changes after the changes are requested. All right, so now it's time for our first demo. While I'm getting set up, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat box. All right. So, welcome to the homepage for the HRSA data collection platform. Let's run through here. On the top right of your screen, you will see your username, and you do have a drop-down option, which will take you to home, or you have an option to log out at any time. On the top navigation bar, you have the house or home icon. If you select this at any point, it will bring you directly back here to this page. You have the RSID performance reports action, the data extracts action, and the help action. In the middle, we have all the information about the performance report. And then at the bottom of your screen, you have the adjacent widgets to the top navigation bar, your RSID performance reports, your data extracts, and your help. Before we jump into the performance reports, let's just take a quick look at the help page to give you an idea of what's available for you. So this is our help page. As you can see, at this point, there are no user guides or fact sheets, but come September 1st, there will be. And this is just any great resources that you may need while starting your journey here. And also, we do have contact information if you need technical assistance for the HRSA Contact Center phone number, or there is a link that you can select to submit a help request. So with that, let's go ahead and head to our performance reports. So when you select the RSID performance report action or widget, you are brought to this page. Here you can see we are on the recently viewed status with our option to drop down and view any other list view, approved, change requests, in progress, recently viewed, which is my pinned list, as you can see from the pin here, and the Submit Reports option. On this page, on my recently viewed, you have the tracking ID column, the submission status of the report, the submission name, the grant number, program name, the reporting period, and the status of which the report is in. Also, if at any point you want to search and you know the tracking number, you can select that from the Search This List option right here in the search box. All right, let's go ahead and look at one of these reports and fill it out and submit it. When you want to do so, find the report that you want and select the tracking ID number on the first column on the left. And now we come to the form homepage. As you can see, we have the grantee name, and we have a drop-down arrow, which will show us more information about the grant. You have the grant number, the current reporting period, the grantee, the report due date, if there is one, the review status, which is in progress for this example, and when I do submit this report, the submitted date will be filled out. Continuing down the page, we have our grantee data entry section. For the sake of time, I have already filled out a few of these forms, but I have left some information available to show you a form and then how to submit. So as you can see, we have the green check marks on the far left, which signal a complete status. Down to the last form, Form 5, we have the orange clock, which says that this form is in progress. And if you see a red circle that is not filled in, that would indicate a not started form. Below all the forms, on the far bottom right, you have a Generate PDF button. If you select that, you will get a pop-up, which will show you a read-only view at this point of the report. And as you can see, it is currently generating its report now. And then when this is available and ready to go, it will switch to a blue Download PDF button. If you select that, a copy will save to your drive, and you can save that wherever you'd like. I will go ahead and exit out of this pop-up. And at the bottom of your screen, we have our approval history. Now, this report is still in progress, so there is no approval history to be had. But like I said earlier, if it's been submitted, approved, or change requested, you will have information in this approval history. All right, let's go ahead and fill out Form 5 and show you what this will look like, and then we'll go ahead and submit. So to work on this form, I will go over to the Edit button and select that. So as you can see, you do have the steps here which indicate how far along we are in the process. I've gone ahead and filled some of this out, but let's see. You do have the asterisk beside each row that is required. So if I hadn't filled anything out here, that would be necessary. If at any point I put in incorrect data, like 1.1, for example, on this, you will get an error message explaining to you what the issue is and what you need to correct. If you do have error messages, you will not be able to continue. So just make sure you pay close attention. So continue on down the form. All of my asterisks are completed. And we get to the comments and file attachment section. These are completely optional, but do know that if you do fill these out or upload an attachment, that they will show up on the report for everything. So remember when you are filling these out, that the next button adds as your save button. If you go and you select previous page or back to main page before selecting the next button, your data will be lost. So please make sure you select that next button. Continuing on, I have once again already filled out all the data that needs the asterisks. So come down, comments and file attachments, select next. Third page, all of my required information is filled out. So I'll go down to the bottom of the page and once again select next. And finally, we come to our last page where I will show you just everything with an asterisk is required. So I'll go through and fill everything out, each column, each row. Continuing down, I have no comments or attachments to upload. So now I will select next to save my data. And now, as you can see, all of my forms are completed, which you can see by the green check mark on the far left. And now my Submit for Review button has been activated at the top right of the screen. When I'm ready to submit, I will select that button for the action. And a pop-up will come if I want to add any comments. This is completely optional, so I don't need to, but for the sake of the demonstration, I will. When I'm ready to submit, I either have the option to cancel or I can select submit. I will select submit for the exercise here. And you will get a message at the top of the screen letting you know that you were successful. And now, after I submit, you can come down to the bottom of your page and you will see that now your approval history has one entry. It has the date, the status of the report, the user who submitted it, that would be me, and any comments that have been placed, the test demo. And that's it. Filling out your form is as easy as that. So now let's go back to our main page of the RSID performance reports. And just take a look at a few more things before we continue. Here is an example of a change requested report, which you can see from the status on the far right of your screen. Let's go ahead and take a look. Now, as you can see in the change requested status, this was a previously submitted report, but now since a change was requested by the HRSA PO, all of my forms do now have the edit button enabled. You can come down to your approval history, select the arrow to show more comments, and then look at your comments on the right side of your page to see what was requested. If these are longer comments, you have the option to wrap text and see the full comment. So please make the following changes, and you'll see these here. I'm not going to make these changes because I'm going to need Google Translate to figure out what I need to do. But this is just an example of what you would see if a request came through for you. Here's one that you see, which is in English. Please review and approve. So I can do that. So when I'm ready, I've made all my changes. And then once again, when you make all of these changes, you must resubmit for review. It will go back to the HRSA PO, and then they can finally approve it. Or if you still need to change anything, they can request another change. My optional comments will come up once again, and I'm going to submit for review. And once again, there is your success message. And that's how you do it. That is how you submit reports and check any requested changes that might be requested to you. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to our PowerPoint. If you have any questions right now, please go ahead and put them in the chat pod now. All right, so now that we've gone through that process, let's take a look at your grantee raw data report. To access your grantee raw data report, select Data Extracts from the top navigation bar or the widget on the bottom of the home page. When you get to the All Reports page, the page will default to recently viewed. But the first time you open the page, there will be nothing listed. You will want to select All Reports from the left menu to view all the reports that are applicable to your role. Then you can select the grantee raw data report name to open the report, or select Run or Export from the drop-down menu on the right side of your page. So once you've selected the ID, on this page you can see the data associated with the grantee organization. There will be a scroll bar at the bottom of the page so that you can view all the data on the report. You can select the grantee organization to view any organizational details. You can select the performance report tracking ID on the right side of your page to open that report. And finally, at the top right of your screen, there's going to be a button action to export the report. If you do select export, a pop-up will appear with two different export options. You can select the formatted report, which will give you or the format report will export straight to Microsoft Excel. And then when you're ready, select export from the bottom right of your pop-up. Or you can select details only and then select the format and encoding option you would like them to export in. And then to finish, select export at the bottom right. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that now for our second demo. And let me get set up. But if you have any questions, please go ahead and keep putting them in the chat pod. All right, so starting on our homepage, from the top navigation bar or the adjacent widget at the bottom of the screen, select Data Extracts. So it will come. There will be, like I said, if this is your first time coming to this page, there will be no data shown, but you can select all reports to show what is associated with you. You have the controls on the left navigation bar. You will see columns saying the report name, the description, the folder it is in, who it was created by, when it was created on, and if anyone subscribed. So you also have the drop-down option here on the right side of your screen to run the report or export the report. So I'm going to go ahead and select the report name on the left side of your screen to run the report. Here you will see details about the report, the total records, total occurring mental, and just any information that you would have here about this report. Continuing down, you have different columns, the select collection, data collection start date, the end date, grant number, grantee organization, the fiscal year, the state, and the grantee city. At the bottom of the page, you also have a scroll option to go further right to see all information and columns about this report. At the top, you also have the option to search, any filters you might want to select, if you want to refresh the page, or if you'd like to export your report, which is where I'm going to go now. Selecting export at the top right of your screen. Here a pop-up will come with two different view options. You have the formatted report, which is going to give you an Excel formatted report. If you select details only, it'll give you more format options by selecting the drop-down on the right side of the field. You have two different Excel options and a comma delimited option. And then you also have an encoding drop-down, which gives you multiple different options for how you may want. I am going to go with the simple option, formatted report, which will give you Excel format. And when I'm ready, or if I'd like to cancel my request, you have the cancel action at the bottom right of the pop-up or the export. When you click export, you see that it will save to your drive and you can access that and save it to wherever you seem applicable on your folders. And that is your grantee raw data report. Let's go over a few important reminders, and then we'll get to any questions that are unanswered. As a reminder, the data does not autosave. It does not autosave. So please be sure to click next on each form page to save your work. The system will time out after 15 minutes of inactivity, and if that occurs, you will lose any data that was not saved in your forms. Any required fields are going to be indicated with an asterisk. And after submitting your performance report, you cannot make any edits to it unless the PO request changes. And then after your HRSA PO request changes from you, you must resubmit the report for the PO to review again. We also have a few helpful resources available to you. You can find step-by-step guides and facts from the Help tab and widget, which we looked over in the first demo. If you have any questions or issues logging into the system, please contact the login.gov customer support page. Or if you have questions related to your performance report, please contact the HRSA customer support or your HRSA PO. And you can also reach out to your PO for questions about your grant or the data needed for said performance report. All right. Thank you guys so much. Give me one moment and then we can try to get into any questions that were not answered so far. And if anyone from my team would like to speak about any questions not answered currently, please go ahead.
So, Sawyer, this is Jerry Higgins. We don't have any, well, we have one unanswered question. They're being put in the question and answer chat. Okay, that was just to thank me. We did have a couple questions posted there, and I just want to read them for the group because I don't believe everyone can see them when they're posted there. The first question is, what's the difference between the performance report and the grantee raw data report? Is the raw data report in a spreadsheet while the report is a form? Yes. Anila responded to that. That's correct. The performance report is where you're going to see all the forms 1 through 5 where you can put in your data. The grantee raw data report is where you're going to be able to look at one report in the form of a spreadsheet if you export it. And there you'll see all of the answers that have been put in for any performance reports associated with your grantee organization. And the next question that came in was, will data/reports from previous EHB reports be held in the database or only data as we move forward? And I responded to this one. The data from previous reporting periods will be available in the grantee raw data report in the data collection platform. So any previous year's data that you've worked on, you'll be able to see that listed when you're looking at those grantee raw data reports, as well as your current performance report that you're working on. And those are the only two questions that came up in the Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you, Jerry. I will give everyone else one more moment if they do have any questions, or if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question, that's totally fine as well. So we'll just give it another moment or two. And if no questions come in, Kamu, I will turn it over to you for a little exit lingo.
Hey, just to jump in quickly, if you would like to ask a question live, just use the raise your hand feature and I'll go ahead and unmute you.
Thank you, sir.
Should I go ahead, Sawyer?
Go ahead one more time, Kamu, please.
Okay, great. Yep, hi everyone. My name is Carmen Isola, and I am a project officer. Was wanting to note a couple of just like really important reminders. So the PIMS report will open up on September 1st and close on the 30th. It is really important that grantees do submit this on time. Keeping in mind that this data is very much used. We send all of this data over to Congress, and it really just justifies these programs and also future funding opportunities as well. So we really appreciate if folks can submit this on time. The other thing I do want to note is that on September 1st, you will receive an email noting that the platform is open. So please do look out for that email. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Kamu. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us today.